Welcome back to this week's luxury Q&A, which is where I try to address all your MS questions, concerns, and dilemmas. If you have not seen part 1, I will make sure to have it linked in the info box, because one of the big and very hot topics that was discussed in that video is the recent Hermes lawsuit and my thoughts on the topic and my comparable experience. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, then make sure you check out my info box so you can catch up on that video after this one. But without further ado, let's pick up where we left off, discussing all the Hermes topics that you wanted to hear my thoughts on. What do you think of shopping at 2 different Hermes stores in the same city? This for me would be a major no. It's not something that I would advise you to do unless you're really trying to get a Birkin or a Kelly fast and you just want to get one bag and one bag only. This might help, but I don't think it's really going to work out in the end, especially if you are trying to build a long-term relationship and rapport with the brand. You are going to end up spreading yourself way too thin, and neither boutique will feel like that they need to please you, because they'll see on your profile that you're shopping somewhere else, so they'll think, oh, why would we release a bag to this person when they're shopping at another store? They're just gonna be like, oh no, this bag could go to someone who's actually loyal to our boutique. At least that's what I would say. So for me, shopping at 2 boutiques, I know it can be tempting. It can feel like you're playing the system, but I don't think it's going to work out in the end, especially if, again, you are trying to become a long-term Hermes client. If you are just trying to get a bag fast and you're really open to colors and sizes and you would be happy with pretty much anything, it might work, but to be really honest, I really would not approach it this way. Do you ask for a quota bag at the same time you do a special order? I guess we have already touched on this. No, you cannot ask for both at the same time, and I really wouldn't. I feel like it would seem quite spoiled to ask for 2 bags at the same time, and I really don't think that you can. Even you can ask at your local store, but personally I would not. And then we have another question on the HSS experience, which HSS stands for horseshoe stamp. It's the same thing as the special order experience, but the official Hermes term is the a la carte experience. And the question is, no more Togo in gold for this year's HSS process, which there's no gold. I did do a video walking you through the color chart and sharing with you my best tips when it comes to placing a special order, but I cannot recall whether there was gold or not, so I'm going to trust you with this. So let's say there's no gold. Thoughts? I mean, I don't think it's the end of the world. Obviously, gold is a really, really popular and iconic Hermes color, but I think there were plenty of neutrals to choose from. In fact, and this is going to sound weird coming from me, but there might have been one too many neutrals. I think this year's color palette or color menu is really quite underwhelming. It's really lazy. It's really boring. So I think if you are hoping to get a special order and you are newer to the world of Hermes, I think you might have better luck, just because the seasoned Hermes collectors will probably not find something that piques their interest, because usually special order bags can be harder to come by when there are a lot of reds and a lot of pinks on the menu, because those tend to be really rare colors to find from Hermes. But this year I don't think there is any, which doesn't mean that seasoned Hermes collectors will not be wanting to get a special order bag. They might want a bag in an exotic skin or in a color that they just fancy, but usually those seasons when there are a lot of pinks and a lot of reds, a lot of yellows and blues, those tend to be a little bit harder to request a special order as a novice. But special order bags tend to go to people who have been around the block when it comes to Hermes. So when it comes to gold, to me, I don't think it's the end of the world. Should I have a look at the color menu and give you another alternative? Yeah, why don't we do that really quick? Okay, so I have the color menu pulled up, which if you would like to hear my in-depth explanation and a walkthrough, I will make sure to have my special order video linked down below for you. And you're correct, there is no gold this season. There is Cray, Grease Pearl, Grease Attan, Natural Sable, and Biscuit. As the neutrals, I would not choose Biscuit. I'm really not a big fan of Biscuit. To me, it feels a little bit dull. Natural Sable, I have seen some beautiful bags in Natural Sable, but I have also seen some that can lean quite yellow, so that's definitely a color that you want to be careful with. Grease 10 is a great neutral, but my favorite color from the chart is probably Grease Pearl. That is a really beautiful cool toned neutral. So if you cannot order gold, Grease Pearl, while it's a completely different color, gold is it's a warm tone camel color, whereas Grease Pearl is a cool toned, really light gray, but I think it is a beautiful shade. So that is probably the color that I would go for. Or you could also do Vert Rousseau, which again, it's a different color, but those are probably my two top picks from this year's Togo color menu. Why don't we do some quick fire questions before we move into the ones that I need to elaborate on a little more. So there is one here that says, when is the H bag collection coming? I'm not planning on doing an Hermes bag collection video anytime soon. I'm more than happy to do a video discussing my most and least used Hermes bags, but doing a collection video, I really don't see the point of, and it's really just not my style, so it's not. Which Hermes bag would you consider as an everyday bag and which one as an elegant one? As an everyday bag, my most used bag from Hermes is by far my Her bag. I think it is an incredibly underrated, beautiful bag. And then as an elegant one, you can definitely pick up a clutch bag from Hermes. If you are looking for something that is really versatile, you could definitely pick up the Kelly wallet, which is one of my favorite pieces from Hermes. Or you can also buy something along the lines of the CDC clutch. That's something that you can find at amazing prices on the Preloved market. Or if you're looking for something that is Kelly inspired or Kelly related, the Kelly Pochette is definitely an incredible piece to have in your collection. And then, does it make sense to buy from a reseller? I think it does, as long as you go to someone that you can 100% trust. I would never want you to turn to a reseller or a pre-loved site that you cannot be confident in. So I would want to make sure that you do your due diligence and you do a ton of research before buying anything. And if you want to be assured that what you bought is the real deal, you can always have your piece authenticated by Hermes, which we discussed how to do that in my Hermes spa experience video. And if you are not interested in anything else that the brand has to offer, if you don't want to waste time and money by buying things that you don't really want at the end of the day, I do think you can not only save money, but you can save quite a bit of time by buying something from a reseller. But again, just make sure that you do your due diligence and you only buy from places that you can fully trust. But there is a lot of pros and a lot of cons when it comes to buying pieces from resellers. Obviously, you are going to be paying a premium, but if you consider the time and the money that it would take you to build a rapport with Hermes, you have to decide what's more important for you. So yeah, I would definitely not be against buying pieces from resellers. And then, how do you store and maintain your Hermes bags to keep them in good condition? I have an in-depth video sharing with you close-ups on how I keep my bags in great shape. I am someone who really appreciates everything that I own. I don't take a single piece for granted, so I really take good care of my things. And if you want to find out more about my approach and how I take care of my bags, I will make sure to have that video linked up here for you. I feel like this question comes up every single time I do a Q&A, which is, what's a good first buy at Hermes? Love your videos. Thank you, and thank you so much for watching. So I think it's something that I should do an in-depth dedicated video on, but what's a good first buy at Hermes? Be Happy or CDC when it comes to fashion jewelry. I would encourage you to look at tableware. I love my Hermes mugs. Those are things that I use on a daily basis, every day, pretty much all day. I do love the Hermes tart platters because you can not only use them in the kitchen, but they also make an incredible home decor piece. And then when it comes to leather pieces, a Covey is not something you can go wrong with. And then Hermes boots. You can choose whatever boots you want. You can pick up Chelsea boots, you can pick up ankle boots, you can get something like the fresh ankle boots, which are a little bit more utilitarian, because everyone goes on and on about Hermes sandals, but I think it is really about their boots. When it comes to boots, Hermes really just excels. But if you would like for me to be more specific and bring more recommendations to you, let me know in the comment section, and it's definitely something that we can do a dedicated video on. How do you know if your Hermes store works on a waitlist or a pre-spend system? You need to ask. Your best source of information is your advisor. They are, at the end of the day, the gatekeeper, and they should always be your first and most reliable source of information. So just ask. I feel like most stores in Europe tend to have a waitlist system, meaning it doesn't mean that there is an actual waitlist, but what it means is that if you have a good rapport with the brand, which is still required, you can put in a wish. Your wish gets put into a digital system, so the store directors and the managers have an overview of everyone waiting for these bags, and then when something becomes available, they can look on the list and see who this bag should go to. But that doesn't mean that you can just put in a wish and it's guaranteed that you'll get a bag, but it does make it a little bit easier for you to get your hands on a bag. And then when it comes to stores that work on a pre-spend system, which I think tends to be stores mainly in Asia and some larger stores in the US, that means that you have to build quite a large purchase history before you are offered a bag, and how much you spend determines what kind of bags you are qualified to get your hands on. Hi G, what is your most used Hermes bag this year thus far? Great question. I don't know if I've been using any Hermes bags. I would say it's probably my Her bag or my Kelly 35. Really, those are the only two bags that I'm reaching for these days. I will shout it from the rooftops every single chance I get, but I do love the Her bag. I think it's one of those bags that every single person has a place for in their collections, whether you are more formal or more casual, whether you prefer larger or smaller bags. It really doesn't matter. I do think that the Her bag is a piece that you would be able to take advantage of, although I don't want to shout it too loud because I don't want it to be overdone either. But I'm going to share it with you guys, my virtual friends. The Her bag, I think, is my favorite and most used Hermes bag of all time. Opinions on the Loro Piana loafers. So I think you're referring to the summer walk, and is it called the charm walk for women? The summer walk, the open walk, and the charm walk, which is pretty much the same thing. It is both shoes. Is it worth it? I do not think so. I think it is worth it if you have a really, really formal look. But one of my biggest luxury icks, which it's something that I have been toying with the idea of doing a video on, but I don't want to come off judgmental because these are just my thoughts. If you love these things, it's your money. You can do whatever you want to do with it, but I personally would not. So if you'd like me to do a video on my luxury icks, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up or just comment down below. It's definitely something that I could do. But one of my biggest luxury icks is when I see someone with a pair of jeans and a really casual outfit wearing these different walks from Loro Piana. I think these shoes work incredibly well to dress down a really, really formal look. So if you have tailored pants on and a shirt that you're trying to dress down, these shoes will look incredible. However, they will not work the other way around. So they will never dress up an outfit. Instead, they will drag you down and they will make you look really frumpy if you're trying to style these with jeans or even sweatpants. Oh my god, that's a very difficult image to process. So yeah, I think if you have a really formal look and a really formal aesthetic and wardrobe and you're trying to dress it down, make it feel a little bit more effortless, these shoes are great pieces to add to your wish list, although they are incredibly hard to get. And then within the same question is, what about the pochette bag or the backpack version? So I think you are referring to the extra pocket from Loro Piana, which I love. It is one of my favorite designer bags. I think it's so incredibly casual and effortless while also being really beautiful and sophisticated. But you are concerned with the opening and the zip. Looks hard to get in and out of when in a hurry. I mean, I don't own these bags. If you do, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section. But I have played around with these bags several times. I have also looked at the new version of the extra pocket, which comes with the new strap, which they changed the shoulder strap on the larger extra pocket. It's no longer removable. Instead, it has the same mechanism as the strap on the Constance. So you can either carry it on your shoulder, you can double the strap and put it over your shoulder, or you can try to wear it crossbody, but the strap is a lot shorter than it used to be. So I have played around with both sizes of the extra pocket, and to me, it seems like a really easy bag to use. The zip is actually a lot more simple to open and close, in my opinion, than something like a Kelly twist closure would be, especially if you always close your Kelly bag all the way. So if you own the extra pocket and you have any first-hand experience, please let us know. I think Cindy would really appreciate your help and your advice with that, but my uneducated guess is that it really wouldn't be that much of a pain to use. Oh, I love this next comment. This is so sweet. Thank you. Love that you don't normalize luxury consumption. Any tips on becoming a more reasonable luxury shopper? Yes, I have plenty. Number one, make sure that you create a wish list and you try to stick to it. Try not to impulse buy things, but have an ongoing wish list. It's something that you can just create a list for in your phone. And anytime you see something or think of something, make sure you put it on there and have it on there for at least a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, before pulling the trigger, just to make sure that it's genuinely something that you would have a place for in your collection. And then another thing that I've been trying to do recently, it's something that I have just started implementing, is something to do with my savings. So what I'm going to start doing from now on, what I have been doing for the past few weeks, is anytime I buy something that's not a necessity, so something that's a luxury purchase, I try to, obviously I buy the piece and then I try to set the same amount of money aside. So if I buy something that's, let's say, $2,000, I try to put $2,000 into a savings account. If I buy something that's $10,000, I try to put $10,000 in there, which obviously I understand that sometimes it won't work, but try to, if you cannot do 100% of the money, if you cannot put 100% of the money into your savings account, maybe put 30% or 40% or 50%. You can make this system whatever you want it to be, or whatever your financial situation allows, because I completely understand that there are so many things that everyone needs to pay for these days. So that's something that I have been trying to do. I have always done this in theory. I have always tried to make sure that I'm not spending my last dollar on a luxury purchase. I mean, there have been times when I overspent when I was a lot younger, but these days I am trying to be really responsible. So I have been making sure that whenever I buy a luxury piece, I always have at least twice, if not three times the amount in my bank account available. But I'm taking it to the next level, and what I'm going to do is anytime I buy something, I'm going to put an identical amount into my savings account, which I definitely think is going to reduce my consumption quite a bit, because imagine seeing something that's like, $3,000, which is a crazy amount of money to spend on luxury. But I think it is a little bit more normalized these days. But whenever you want to spend that money, you have to spend another 3,000 by putting that money into your savings account. So whatever you're buying really ends up being 6,000, at least in theory. Obviously, you do keep the other 3,000, but you should look at it as paying a bill. And I do think that that is a more significant amount of money to spend, which will hopefully make all of us reconsider. So that is something that I am trying to do, and we'll see how it works out. But having a wish list is something I've been doing for years, and I have found it incredibly helpful. And then this tip, if you are not the most financially responsible, this is also something that I would try playing around with. Anytime you buy something, make sure that you have an identical amount of money set aside to go into your savings account. And I think this is the perfect question to end the video on, which is Kelly Pochette versus Mini Kelly, which is something that I have touched on very recently. If you have not seen my last unboxing, I will make sure to have it linked up here for you, where I unboxed one of the most beautiful, most special Kelly Pochettes I have ever seen, and in that video I also explained the main differences between the Kelly Pochette and the Mini Kelly. And I can't believe I almost forgot, but I even have a video comparing the two bags side by side, so that is also something I can link down below for you. But if you want to hear my thoughts really quickly, the biggest difference between a Kelly Pochette and a Mini Kelly is the fact that the Kelly Pochette does not come with a strap, whereas the Mini Kelly does come with a shoulder strap. The Kelly Pochette features a really simple flat top handle, which I personally prefer. I find it much easier to grab if you have larger hands, whereas the Mini Kelly comes with a more structured but shorter rolled handle, which is the same handle that you're accustomed to seeing on the original Kelly bag line. The Mini Kelly is a lot more structured, which in my opinion makes it harder to use to get in and out of, whereas the Kelly Pochette, even though they're both technically in a cellier structure, the Kelly Pochette is a lot softer, a lot more malleable, a lot easier to take advantage of, even though when it comes to the sizing, the Kelly Pochette is technically only 2 centimeters larger. So the Kelly Pochette measures 22 centimeters, whereas most Mini Kellys will measure 20 centimeters. And that's why it's called the Mini Kelly 22. And even though there's only that 2 centimeters difference, that makes such a big difference when it comes to the overall user experience, mainly because of how much easier it is to open and close the Kelly Pochette. But I think the big difference is going to be the look. So to me, the Kelly Pochette feels a lot more effortless, a lot more simple, a lot more easy. It's something that you can use on a daily basis. It fits quite a bit. And to me, it just feels like you're not trying that hard. Whereas a Mini Kelly, of course, it has the benefit of a shoulder strap, but to me, it looks, perhaps because it's so popular these days and so overdone, to me it looks a lot more formal, a lot more petite, and at the end of the day, it's just something that you've seen quite a bit of, even if it's not in person, but on social media. But at the same time, the Kelly Pochette is a lot more difficult to get. I don't know why that is, but since the launch of the Mini Kelly, which was back in 2015, Hermes has really cut back on how many Kelly Pochettes they release each year, so they are definitely quite hard to get, but I do think that they are both beautiful bags. It just really comes down to what it is that you're looking for. If you're looking for a really easy grab and go, effortless, really simple bag, then the Kelly Pochette is an incredible bag to have in your collection. If you're looking for something a little bit more petite, a little bit more formal, a little bit more pretty and proper, as I like to call it, the Mini Kelly is of course an option for you. But don't forget about the Kelly wallet. I think the Kelly wallet is kind of the best of both worlds. So that is also something I would encourage you to put on your radar. But my friends, this brings us to the end of today's video discussing all your Hermes questions, no matter how controversial they may be. I really appreciate you being here and watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this from me, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. And if you have not and you would like to participate in my giveaway, make sure that you check out my last Hermes unboxing, because I explain how you can get the chance to win an Hermes book. So if you're interested, everything will be listed and linked in the info box for you. But I just really appreciate you being here and watching, and I will see you back here with a new video really, really soon.